We talk about a background of study. So motivation is basically known as a behavior to force to gain something. But in psychology, motivation known as a basic impulse to optimize well-being, minimize the pain and maximum the pleasure. So motivation help to maintain attention and behavior, and also help is in variety effect. Motivation helps student motivation also affect the student behavior. So the high and low level of motivation give impact to academic performance. So for the problem statement, the problem statement is difficulty arrange their own daily routine at home, and two things they need to arrange about their task at home and their task as a student. So for the research objective, student motivation that affect the academic performance during the online class. First is to study the relationship between students' motivation and academic performance. Second is to investigate the effect of motivation on academic performance. For the research question, first is high level of motivation help in academic performance, and the second is low level of motivation affect in academic performance. So the significance of study is to find the level of motivation in student which can affect their academic, since the pandemic of COVID-19 forced them to online study. So the limitation of this study is limited to student in UNIMAS who are studying online. The sample size needed only 40 respondents, and the data gained from the questionnaire is on the Google form, where the link we will paste and share it. And the last limitation is face-to-face interview unapplicable due to the high cases of COVID-19. So we don't want to take risks about the COVID-19.
And now we're presenting about literature review. Motivation can be a factor that can help increase drive to achieve goals. Motivation also can be divided into three categories, which is intrinsic, extrinsic, and amotivation. Extrinsic motivation is described as external factors that can help in boost someone's motivation. These external factors can include punishment or reward. Next is intrinsic motivation, which is internal factor such as interest that drives the person to achieve goals. Third is amotivation, which is a state where someone is not able to make the connection between their behavior and the outcome of their behaviors. This leads to no motivation at all. There are two types of theory that we have chosen to explain motivation. The first one is McClelland's needs theory. In this theory, it concludes three types of factors that can help in motivation. The first one is needs for achievement. This describes a personal need for achieving a goal. This can contribute to actions or behaviors that lead to achieving a certain goal. Next is needs for affiliation. This describes a personal need to form bonds or relationship with other individuals or groups. And lastly is needs for power. Individuals with high needs for power work best when they are in charge. Providing feedbacks are also found to be helpful. The next theory is Porter's and lowest expectancy theory model, which concludes that individuals' ability to perform tasks as well as their perception of the task can help determine their motivation levels. It concludes that once an individual has completed the task, their motivation levels will drop if the reward received does not match up their expectation. When it comes to previous studies done to understand more about academic performance and motivation, a German study done in 2019 shows that academic performance are directly correlated with the combination of student self-concept and motivation. According to Charlie Gobley's 2017 study on high school students, High levels of extrinsic motivation are determined by students' perception of education. It also shows that intrinsic goals are found to have positive link not only to academic performance but also learning. A Nigerian study conducted on 400 students found that there is a correlation between academic performance and motivation. It's also proven that motivation is not only essential for academic achievements but also learning to take place.
Next, we are going to talk about description of setting. The physical setting may be different from each respondent as the research was conducted online because of the pandemic. This research setting is according to the respondent's own location as the research was conducted online during pandemic COVID-19. Different locations give different vibe for their motivation to study, especially during online class as they need to study alone and their friends are far away. The number of subjects we want is 40 respondents, but we successfully gaining 46 respondents. As for resource availability for each respondent who live in urban area, we are sure that every respondent is currently living with complete basic necessities, and also with all the technology, we are sure that their resources for study also adequate. But for respondents who live in rural areas, this may be their environmental trait as there are not enough sources for technology and resources for studies. Next, we move on to the social setting. All the respondents belong to the same social group as all respondents are students from the same university, which is University Malaysia Sarawak. They also belong to the same age group called university student age that are from 18 to 23 years old. The respondent may be coming from different faculty, but they are all the students from the same university. As for now, we cannot be sure that they live in the same social setting as every respondent are coming from different places. While this research was conducted, as far as we know, all the respondents are from the same country, which is Malaysia, but different states may have different social setting. For experimental context, during this research, the period of time to complete this research is 1 month, as we need to observe the motivation of the student and their academic performance. Within this period of time, we observe how the respondent is doing with their online learning after almost 1 year and a half practicing online learning. For the time of the year during the research conducted, it is the year of 2021, where we are in the pandemic of COVID-19 that affects worldwide. The condition of the study for all respondents is that they are currently doing online learning for almost 1.5 years. They also completely adapted to online learning. The role of researcher during this research is to observe the respondent for the change of motivation and student performance. We also responsible to collect their data using questionnaire as our data collection method. After collecting data from respondents, we need to analyze data and come up with discussions that are related to our research theories. We also need to come up with recommendations, but most importantly, we must safeguard our data collection as it is contain our respondent data. While conducting this research, we are using primary data collection, which means we collect the raw data from the sources. After considering factors such as cost and time, decision making and integrity of the research, we decided to do a survey through questionnaires. Questionnaires is one of the data collection tools to help researchers collect data. We consider using questionnaires because it can collect large numbers of respondents and it is cost effective. So considering doing it online, questionnaire is an effective way to collect data. Questionnaires are also easy to analyze and visualize, but not all answers can be analyzed easily. Questionnaires also may involve dishonest answer from the respondent. In the questionnaire, we use fixed alternative question, ordinal skill question, and open-ended question to collect data. Before we let the respondent proceed to the questionnaires, we have briefed the respondent about this research and its purpose. Next, we also have informed consent to the respondent before we proceed to the questionnaire. We also inform them that they are free to withdraw from the research anytime if they find anything uncomfortable. We also make sure that the data we get from the respondent will be safeguarded and strictly used for research purpose only. We will also inform that we are responsible for any harm or danger happening to participant physically or psychologically after answering the questionnaires. The respondent also was told that there is no force to answer the questionnaire and must be answered willingly by the respondent. As the research is about student motivation that affects academic performance, the participant must be among students. So we select the students that are among our friends from the same university to be our respondents. The student just need to be university student from UNIMAS, this being from any faculty. Next, we choose this group of participants because it is easy for us to reach them, and we do not need informed consent for the parents as they are 18 years old and above, so they are the perfect participant for our research. The type of data we collect is qualitative data, which is a mix of nominal data and ordinal data. In the questionnaires, we ask questions about nominal data such as gender and ethnicity. We also ask questions about ordinal data such as rate of their motivation while studying online and so on. For analysis, we use descriptive analysis and grounded theory. As you can see, this is our research timeline. It is so simple and easy to read.
For this mini research about the relationship between student motivation and academic performance during online class, we have decided to use a qualitative method. Before we post the link of survey on social media, we have discussed the questionnaire and decide to divide it into 3 sections. We convene the UNIMAS student who feel distracted with online class to be our respondent. 45 respondents that answer this online survey. We collect the data by target the population, which is students from UNIMAS only can answer the survey. Using the statistical inference, we estimate the characteristic of respondent, which is only degree student from any faculty in UNIMAS to answer the survey. Besides, we also use stratified sampling. For this mini research, we decide to divide section, which is section A and section B. Main finding in this research for high level of motivation is academic grade, friend and family support, psychological well-being with positive thought, while low motivation affect academic performance, in not attractive education skill and assignment pressure. We can conclude this, the level of student motivation during online learning is at low rate, and this proving the second research question is accepted. High motivation can help academic performance by giving a recognition to the student, and student will find the way to get back their motivation to maintain good academic performance.
Chapter 5, Discussions of Findings. For the first part, I'm gonna discuss the result findings with theory concept and comparisons between previous studies. For theory concept, we use Maclaurin theory of motivational needs that have been mentioned in Chapter 2. There have 3 concepts in this theory, which is needs for achievements, affiliations, and powers. So first, I'm gonna explain the first result finding for our first research questions, which is high extrinsic motivations helps academic performance. They focus on external factors. First, needs of achievements, which mean a person motivational needs to achieve their goals. This concept related to academic grades. Assignments grades or exam grades can be the main motivational needs for students because they fear of failures. So they need to maintain their CGPA for not repeating the same semester again. This can be proved that 14 out of 45 participants choose score or marks of tasks as their motivational needs, which this factor is the highest choices compared to the others. Second, needs of affiliations, which mean the needs of having good interpersonal and social relationships as their motivational needs to maintain their academic performance. This concept related to friends and family supports. Love and support from friends and family is needed when someone is demotivated. Some participants say reminding of their parental sacrifice and wanting to see their children be successful in education have motivated them to achieve good academic performance. Last but not least, McLaren's concept of needs for power, which refer to the urge of exerts control and authority over another person in order to influence and change their decisions in accordance with one's own needs and desires. This concept can be related with competing with others' friend-rate results, which means the desire of winning one's situations must be taken by one person. In contrast, another theme that arose in the study is assignment pressure and educational skill that be the factors of student low intrinsic motivations that affect their academic performance. The feelings of being pushed to finishing the assignment before deadlines give them bad impact includes poor psychological well-being, means dealing with stressful and oversleep that resulting in not attending online class. Further, unattractive and boring online lessons make the students show low interest and demotivated attending classes and more prefer to recorded lectures. Next, discussions of comparisons with previous studies. We compare it with a previous study conducted by Afzal, Ali, Aslam Khan, and Hamid 2010 in the study of student motivations and academic performance. We found the differences between the result findings, where the previous studies state that intrinsic motivations tend to show excellent academic performance, where our present study found that extrinsic motivations tend to help students achieve their good academic performance. Our present study of result findings did not show any intrinsic motivations effects on academic performance. Next, I'm gonna explain the implications of the study, recommendations for future research, and conclude our research study. So for implications of the study, we have two, which is for students and educators. Implications for students: from this study, we found that students need to find specific strategies to keep motivated during online learning to achieve good academic performance. The reason is student keeps losing interest in what topic content is all about and just rushing to complete the tasks and the deadlines of assignments. Second, implications for educators. Educators was mentioned in this study by the student through survey as an important source of motivations. For this perspective, educators play a big role in enhancing student motivations to achieve good academic performance. Educators need to adopt and develop new skills or an attractive educational platform. This is because of interesting lectures by appropriate or effective methods can attract and boost students' mood to make them more productive and concentrate during classes. For recommendations for future research, the findings of the present study have contributed to new knowledge of relationships between student motivations and academic performance during online learning, and provided further possibilities for future research in these fields, which is the first one is qualitative methods research need to be used in interviewing a larger populations of student sample across all public or private universities in Malaysia to get more understanding on experiences of the relationships between student motivations and academic performance during online learning since this COVID-19 outbreak. Next, frequently use the needs of motivation theory to observe and investigate the relationship between student motivations and the levels of psychological impact during online learning. And we're hoping that for future research, they have a new research on relationships between teaching skills and student attentions for further research in students' motivations during online learning. As a conclude, the foregoing chapter has explained what factors and how motivations impacts on academic performance, which is further triggered by high extrinsic motivations and low intrinsic motivations factors. both research questions of this study is accepted. Along doing this research study, we found that majority of students keep demotivated during online learning. So we need to urgently develop and appreciate theoretical model of motivations and interesting online educational skill to achieve good performance and learning. And educators also need to be more alert and understanding the importance of motivations to work in student academics during their tough times and struggle dealing with all tasks and assignments.